This is Mac Nelson, a Kansas City man who says he suffered excessive force at the hands of the Kansas City Police Department. In fact, he and his attorney told me they recently settled with KCPD for $500,000. It's a settlement they say wouldn't have been possible without a police accountability group and a video.
A video. That's the most important part that we're going to take away from this whole thing. Without the video, we're not watching this. This doesn't happen. We're not discussing the Kansas City Police excessive force lawsuit.
Captured on a cell phone. It's the same video that's now being reviewed along with the incident itself by the Jackson County Prosecutor's Office. A quick warning, some of the images and video you're about to see could be considered disturbing to some. It's been almost a year since the pavement outside this Kansas City gas station was marred by bloodstains from two separate incidents that happened just hours apart. Two things they share in common, both involved Kansas City police officers, and both were caught on camera. First, on August 8th, 2022, a man was shot and killed by KCPD, a shooting that was ruled justified after
Who ruled it justified? Was it an independent third-party agency that investigated?
Surveillance video showed him nearly hitting an officer with his vehicle. Then, hours later, police said a witness to that fatal shooting fell to the ground as he was resisting arrest. But his attorney and witnesses argue this cell phone video tells a much different story. As you watch, pay attention to the right side of the screen, almost off camera. It happened so fast, we're slowing the video down to give you a better look as Mac Nelson's body hits the ground. Steve Young was the man who happened to be recording at that very moment. A founding member of KC LEAP, the Law Enforcement Accountability Project, Young and his team of volunteers make it their mission to respond to police-involved shootings, also they can monitor the investigations that ensue.
We will actually document the whole scene. We'll stay until the scene is clear. We'll actually question any witnesses, any people around in the area. We do our own canvassing. Because we just don't believe what the police, what the police say.
As
we question any witnesses, any people around in the area, we do our own canvassing.
So do you hear what this guy does?
Because we just don't believe what the police, what the police say.
So what he means by canvassing is they spread their people out over a canvas and they all film and record police to hold them accountable. And then they have a central database where they'll share information and videos about what they saw. Oh, I saw that cop, officer 0427 came into the, right, I saw 08427 as well at the gas station. Right, I saw that same cop at this time over here. And then there was a problem over in this different area. So they created like a way to keep track of the coppers in their neighborhood because like he said, they don't trust what the cops do and he doesn't trust what the cops say.
As soon as he heard the news about that officer-involved shooting, he rushed to the scene and hit record. Meanwhile, according to the police report, Nelson was filming the crime scene of the police-involved shooting on his Facebook Live. He was allegedly asked to move behind the crime scene tape, but refused to comply. The report states he was notified he was under arrest, and as an officer, referred to as P.O. Frazier, began to handcuff him, Nelson resisted by jerking his arms away and attempting to twist his body, resulting in him falling to the ground. But Young says that's not what he saw when the male officer approached Nelson from behind.
He placed himself behind Mac's back as if he was going to put handcuffs on him. And so from the time he got over there and he got behind his back, he picked him up and just body slammed him. It was like there was no conversation or anything.
He wasn't doing to y'all. He wasn't doing nothing to them.
I know.
He probably slammed his head on the ground.
Nelson was eventually taken to a local hospital by ambulance. According to his attorney, John Paserno, he suffered multiple injuries, leading to PTSD that lingers to this day.
Wow. I mean, take a look at this man's skull. Take a look at the gash. He slammed him head first. And as you guys saw, the
slammed him.
Look, you could look over to the far right. You see that? One guy's standing there. I'll go back another.
Got over there and he got behind his back.
But look over to the right here. I'll turn the volume down. So now look over to the right. You see the cop's got the guy's back. He's not wiggling. He's not adjusting on the far right by the light pillar there. And now it's almost going out of frame. And now the cop is starting to shift his hips to throw Mac on his head right there. This man is not ready to be thrown on his head. He's not ready. He wasn't trying to fight. Oh, there he goes, head first into the ground. Boom. Ooh. Boom. Ooh.
He wasn't doing nothing to them.
I know.
He suffered multiple injuries, leading to PTSD that lingers to this day.
He sustained numerous cuts, bruises, lacerations to his head, to the top of his shoulder, to his arm, and his face was split open pretty well. Blood was gushing out. He had to get, I believe, 11 stitches, some on the exterior of his face and then some on the inside to close up the wounds.
Paserno filed a lawsuit on Nelson's behalf, alleging excessive force and claiming officers lied on the police report. He says rather than take the case to trial, both sides reached a settlement of $500,000. But it's not a matter of case closed for Nelson just yet. That's because he was charged with 3 misdemeanors in connection with what happened that night: disorderly conduct, resisting arrest, and trespassing, charges that landed him in jail till he entered a guilty plea.
So when he pled guilty, he had been in custody. And as too often happens in America, people plead guilty just to get out of jail, whether or not they're guilty. So for the last 30 years, I cannot tell you the dozens of times that clients either over at the jail or sitting in my office have told me this happened. This officer assaulted me. This officer lied to me or lied in the police report.
Paserno says his client didn't know the video existed when he pleaded guilty. That discovery didn't come till much later, but he said it made all the difference in this case.
Do you think you would have been
Listen,
successful with this settlement if you hadn't had access to that video from Leap?
Absolutely not.
Did you hear it? They both. Did you hear it? Listen twice.
But he said it made all the difference. He pleaded guilty. That discovery didn't come till much later, but he said it made all the difference in this case.
Do you think you would have been successful with this settlement if you hadn't had access to that video from Leap?
Absolutely not. No, there's no case without the video.
So
Boom, right there. If that does not inspire each and every one of you to pick up a camera and film the cops when you see them, you don't have to get out of the car. You don't have to be a constitutional law scholar. You can just take your camera and point it at the coppers from inside your own car. You don't need to challenge anybody's authority. You don't need to be told to move because you'll be sitting in your car. If all of us, if every person in here over the next week filmed police, there would be an accountability reckoning coming, because of the people who are here now. If you filmed police, if every one of us filmed police this week, every time you saw them, I guarantee you within 1 week, next Sunday, everybody would come here and say, what'd you get?
tomorrow, Attorney John Paserno will be back in court trying to get the convictions against Mac Nelson reversed. KCPD conducted its own internal investigation into what happened, and that investigation has been turned over to the Jackson County Prosecutor's Office, where it is still under review. Now, because of that ongoing investigation, KPD told me they were unable to comment on the story.
But what about the officer involved in the altercation, P.O. Frazier?
Well, that they actually were able to confirm for us. They said both that officer and the officer who wrote that police report are both still on active duty. They're both still on patrol. Obviously, if anything changes in terms of any charges or if those convictions are reversed, we'll certainly update our viewers accordingly.
All right, just learned Casey Leap's been around for just 2 years now.
Yeah, since 2021, they said they're made up of all volunteers and they get called all hours of the day and the night. They respond to these scenes and they try to document everything.
All right, Kayla, thanks for this important story. Appreciate it.
So let's see where this was. So this is KH. Let me see where this takes us to. So this is Kansas City. So the LEAP organization, if you want to know, that they're talking about is in Kansas City. So if you live there, that's where you'll be able to find LEAP, the LEAP organization.